In the time when the gods began to slumber, when the great beast of the world crept from shadows, the great race of Hephaestus sought to change the land. Unbidden by the languid heavens, they wove powerful sorcery, building cities and monuments of alien stone. Unquestioned was their power, unhindered was their reach. Only one among them questioned. Hecaton was his name. It was he alone who could see the Hephaeston folly. He alone who could see the end was near. When the works of the ancient race woke the gods and devils from their languor, it was as if creation came undone. Land and sea boiled and lashed out against the upstart race. Now the world belongs to man. All the remains of those ancient godkin are tattered ruins, forgotten treasures left scattered across the land, left for men to find, waiting for hands to touch them once again, ready to issue power unseen or doom another age.
All right, so why was my screen? Hey, anyways, that was the Hephaeston Tale, a joint work by myself, GM Cody, and Garfield Slan. That was the sort of the background for the world that we've been playing in for by the sword, sort of the Atlantean tale that you hear at the beginning of Conan, but for this world. Welcome back, everybody. I am joined again by my valiant heroes. Valiant? Maybe not so much valiant, but stalwart. There we go. I am joined by, to my right, that would be you, Shane.
Right? Okay. Your left.
Screen right, stage left.
Shane Taylor. I'm playing Lucaldo, who is a mage.
Thank you. And Grumpy Slan.
I am playing Aesgeir Detlefson, who's a thief.
And Coco.
I'm Orvar. I'm a warden.
Excellent. Brian.
I'm Igor. I'm a barbarian.
And Jim / Sergeant Mushroom.
I'm playing Drago, the friend of the animals.
Excellent. All right. So when we last left off, you had all joined up with Kaza and his crew to set sail in his most recent voyage to provide security against the reported pirates in the region. You were you had set up for the night. You had appeared the night prior, kind of taken your place below decks, set up your hammocks and all, and you are kind of getting ready to leave. And I think that's where we'll pick up. You set sail early that morning, going out with the tide, and the ship is what you'd expect from a pretty typical trading sailing vessel. Sailors are active up and down the lines, up and down the masts, going about their busy work. You have been told that you are not required to engage in any of the shipboard duties. You can certainly lend a hand if you want, but you are being paid for your sword arm, not your backs. And evidently, we've been invaded by Star Trek.
Sorry, I'll turn that off.
All good, man. All right, so yeah, so we'll kind of fade in about a day at sea. You were heading easterly, kind of heading out from the bay out to the Sanguin Sea proper, and you can tell that on the horizon there is some bad weather, but you are currently sailing under as clear a sky as you can hope for the winter months, or late fall, early winter. And you've seen kind of a steady stream as you're coming out of the bay, or a steady stream of traffic in and out. Small trade vessels. There's the usual fishing vessels as well. You've even passed that Arturian war galley that you had seen in port. You can tell it's the same one. And it has the same markings and everything. Just kind of patrolling the sea, which is what it's doing. A war galley, not an open ocean vessel, but definitely a coaster. You guys are on a seaworthy vessel, so you don't have to worry too much about sticking to the coast. But yeah, so far, it's been a pretty uneventful trip for that. Like I said, that first day. Kaza has checked in on you guys every so often, make sure that you are comfortable and that you're doing well and that you're not suffering seasickness. If any of you are experiencing illness, he offers you a stout drink, which is very bitter. It tastes almost like pure ginger juice. So it's just absolutely biting, but it does keep your stomach calm and helps with the nausea and the seasickness if you experience it. You're all a bunch of landlubbers except for Igor, who spent some time on river barges. Not the same as an ocean-going vessel, but certainly gives you a leg up on the rest of these. I mean, Aesgeir and Orvar, your people are also seagoers, so you probably are not too bothered by this. Lucaldo, Drogo. Actually, Drogo, you are also Frost Barbarian, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So maybe it's only Lucaldo. Still, though, elixirs are available for you to take. So, all right. So, in addition to making sure that you are all able-bodied, which is really, as much as he pretends and puts forward a true, air of concern and friendly demeanor towards you, you can tell that really he's just pushing to make sure that you guys are going to be able to fight if he needs you to. He doesn't want you queasy. He doesn't want you, retching. He needs you ready, which ultimately ends up really hinting that he's expecting trouble. You do see him actually have a few hushed moments with his first mate, kind of off to the side, and then they go about their business. But we'll bring it in there. So, what are you guys all doing?
Well, seeing Kaza discuss things in a worried tone with his first mate, I lean over to Orvar and I tell him, I'll bet you a silver piece we're going to have some trouble before the sun goes down.
I'll take up on that bet. Sure, we'll be fine. I think anyone who notices that Orvar is a lot more relaxed while he's on the boat than he was in the city. He's out in the open sea. He's not contained by buildings. He's in a pretty jovial mood for Orvar anyway.
Well, I would have been up on top of the deck as much as possible, certainly while there was something to see. If we're out in open water, there's nothing to see. I'm going to be downstairs, out of their way, kind of like what you said. We're hired muscle. I'm not about to go get blisters, pulling rope, or breaking something, climbing up something. So I'm just there. And unless there's something to see, he's just sitting there enjoying the ride until he's needed.
Perfect. All right. And I'm going to bring up the map here again. So, just kind of, you guys will know you're sailing out of the Bay of Blood into the Sanguin Sea eastward. So you'd be in this kind of general area. Each hex is about 24 miles, so you're probably making a good hex or so a day with the wind. So anybody else doing anything in particular?
I'm going to be just maintaining my equipment, making sure my weapons are oiled and maintained, and taking care of Bob the Badger, making sure he has food.
All right.
I asked Lucaldo if he's ever shot a bow before.
I have very little knowledge of it. It's more of I understood your message that my daggers aren't going to be very effective, but I'm not terribly convinced that these arrows are going to be very effective either. At least not from me.
Well, hand to hand, your daggers will be very effective. But if you wish, if there's ever quiet moments, I'll be happy to show you how to use a bow.
I will take you up on that. And as a side note, mages can't use bows, so do whatever rules you need to, Eli. Lucaldo's going to try, but if you want to just say he doesn't even roll, I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, you can go ahead and roll, but we'll go ahead and have you do it at a substantial penalty for being unskilled. So call it like a -5.
Okay.
I stroll up to the top, listening to all these little side conversations, and I toss the last bit of fish out in the ocean.
All right, tossing your last bit of fish out in the ocean.
Is that to your god, or was that spoiled?
God? Perhaps. I heard my old god was dead.
They have a tendency to come back, I've heard. I've never met one, so I wouldn't know. At least I don't know if I've met one.
I just stare out into the ocean.
Igor, as you stare out into the ocean, your eyes catch something on the horizon just as a loud, gravelly voice from the crow's nest belts out, "Sails off the port bow!" And you see out
Sails!
there, you see a pair of sails, triangular sails, heading in your direction.
Sails! Ahead! I get my bow and arrow ready.
Yeah. So hearing Igor say sails ahead, Aesgeir will go to one of the crewmen and say, "See, I told you one of these guys wouldn't know where port and starboard are. You owe me a copper."
The sailor rolls his eyes and kind of nudges you aside. "I don't have time for your gambling and your wagers. Out of the way!" And you see they start kind of running around, just making sure that they're trimming the sails and stuff, kind of maximizing them for speed with the current prevailing wind. You can feel the ship start to kind of pick up a bit of speed as they go to full sail. The two triangular sails are inbound, kind of matching your course, sort of at an intercept. But it looks like you have a bit of time before they get to you. Obviously, they're not quite on the horizon, but they're at the sort of edge of your visibility in the gray air.
I've
I
got to
make
get
my way up to the
bow
deck.
and arrows ready, but to a greater extent, I think that I'm going to be more of a help toward Orvar, making sure that his quivers are always until they get real close. because he's not going to fire, until they're real close.
Okay.
I'll ask a crew member or if they can tell if this is common occurrence, or are they friendly, or are they actually worried that we're going to be intercepted by a foe?
The sailor kind of built it. He was like, "They fly under no colors and no banner. I know. Can't be. It can't be. They can't mean us any good." He seems kind of flustered as he kind of runs off to tend to his duties.
I'm like,
Aesgear will position himself near the mizzenmast. His idea is to, should there be boarding, be able to protect whoever's at the rudder, so that the ship can keep maneuvering.
That works. All right. So,
sorry, I'll mention the look. Oh, damn! I think I owe my Northman a silver.
I try to get near in a spot where I have line of fire next to Orvar, aiming at the ship coming in.
okay. So yeah, you continue along your current course. Kaza's directing the crew. The first mate is out there barking orders, and they're just absolutely just maintaining that sail, to every little micro adjustment they can, just to make sure they're getting the most out of the sails that they can. It looks like Kaza is turning the ship towards the foul weather on the horizon, as he's kind of barking out orders and the like. You can tell that he's trying to, as the enemies are kind of coming in at an angle too, as the other vessels, he's turning away from them and trying to, basically change that, widen that intercept point between the two. So this continues on for a good bit as you kind of get, the tension grows, and you can clearly see that these ships are gaining headway. They're getting closer. They're making their way to you, and you can start to tell as they approach that they are not only under sail, but they've got their oars out. These are galleys. They look like smaller galleys. Definitely not the big one that you heard was out here, but they're definitely the sort of fast, quick galleys that would serve pirates and the like.
I would think that most of those men are probably warriors versus slaves, so it should be a good fight, man.
Kaza comes running past you as he's kind of moving off to another section of the ship. He kind of belts at you. He's like, if we can make it to open water and into that foul weather, we should be able to shake them. But it's going to be close.
Hold on, everybody. Let's do it.
Unfortunately, your vessel is beholden to the wind. He doesn't have any oars, but he's a seafaring vessel, so he has that advantage going for him. Again, this kind of this long trajectory trying to draw out that intercept point. You can only keep it up so long, and you start to see the ship's really starting to close up, and as you do, you can see that they are on the bows, at their bow rails. You can see that there are formations of archers on each of the ships, and they're getting ready to. Looks like they're ready to open fire as soon as they reach range.
This is where the suspenseful music is playing.
That they grow closer as you're kind of watching them approach. You can tell that they are armed with short bows at this point, and so they are definitely going to have to be closer to you than you will have to be to them, because as far as I understood it, you guys armed yourselves with longbows.
I have a short bow. I'm going to switch to my shield
Mhm.
and hold up my shield and try to block the first incoming arrows.
All right. So as the ships come in, you can see one of them is coming in more directly, and the other one seems to be peeling away, trying to move out in a trajectory that'll take it in front of Kaza's vessel. So it looks like they're trying to maybe pincer you a bit. Kaza, of course, is manning the vessel and maintaining his control over his crew, and you hear that thwipping that you've been kind of waiting tensely for as a flight of arrows lets loose from the bow of the ship that's coming up on you.
I'll hide as much as possible behind the mast.
Ace Gear will be doing the same.
All right.
Yeah, I'll wait for the first volley to fly, and then I'll hide at the front of the boat, and then I'll pop up and I'll fire off an arrow after the first volley comes.
All right. So the first volley kind of sails up, and one of the arrows does hit one of the crew. You can see him kind of fall to the deck. He's got an arrow sticking square out of his head, like where his shoulder meets his neck. He just drops, and so you let out then you're going to fire your arrow as soon as that flight is done.
Yep.
All right, go for it.
Well, only a 10.
All right, so your arrow, with the pitch and yaw of the sea, you manage to sink your arrow deeply into the wood of the bow of the ship, instead of one of the archers. It is very clear that they are not slowing down as they move towards you. Kaza actually yells out to the crew to prepare, basically brace for impact. Where it looks like they're going to ram.
I will shoot once before they close, and just.
All right.
I will set my spear for a charge in case they jump aboard to the side they're ramming.
Okay.
Uh,
And then a total of 9.
I will also, use my sling, cast a stone at the archers, and I roll a 12.
Well, that's enough to hit.
Yeah. Well, let me just check here. Yeah. I have a +1 for dex, but -1 for range. So if I hit, that's all of 3 points of damage.
It's enough to drop him, man. He does drop to the deck. You can see one of the guys kind of crumple under the slingshot. As they're kind of approaching and barreling their way in, you see one of Kaza's men running down the side of the ship that they're coming into, and you see him actually chopping a bunch of ropes that are tied along the side, and you can hear a big heavy clatter and clunk along the side of the ship. And you can see that Orvar, where you are at near the edge of the ship, any of you who are near the side of the ship, you can see that what he did is they had bundles of logs that were tied up on either side, tied up on the side of the ship, and he just dropped basically a curtain of logs down on the side of the ship. And so the vessel is coming in. You can tell that it's got many more men on it than the 5 archers that are on the bow. You can see kind of a ragtag band of 4 now, yes, 4 that were on the bow. There's still 5. One of them is just dead, but you can see that there's a bunch of guys back behind them. Maybe a dozen, and ready to with the mixed weapons ready to board. Seeing that, and seeing that they're clearly not going to stop, bunch of the sailors start pulling like axes and stuff out of their belts and short blades and get ready to repel boarders. And the boatswain barks out, ready to repel boarders. And boom, the ship hits the side of the vessel and kind of lurch off. It kind of lurches to the side, but you don't hear like the breaking or the splintering of any of the whole boards or anything like that. The side, you can hear the logs actually kind of clunking along the side of the ship, but nothing seems to have broken. And as they hit and sort of get repelled by the heavy logs, they kind of skid and sort of, as you're continuing forward, they're kind of coming alongside as their prow slides off of the deck and sort of slides along the logs, and they kind of end up in a more parallel, going the opposite direction than as you. And as they do, you can see sort of a hail of grappling hooks come flying over from their side and start landing on the deck. And
I will race over there to try to chop at him.
All right.
And I'm sure others do.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So there are about 6 grappling hooks that sail over, and you're going to go ahead and start trying to cut them.
Well, actually, I'm going to try to get 1 or 2 of them before they can even latch on and just kick them to where they foul up. But if
So like
one of them lands,
where they're going to like not grab onto the deck.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
yeah, if one lands, I'm going to start whacking at it. Yes,
Cool.
with my short sword.
I'm assuming the archers were near the bow of their ship.
They were, yes.
So they're quite close to me, and I will again use my sling to cast a stone at them.
Sounds fair. And because of the impact, they're in no position to really shoot on you yet, because they're kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
And it's a 3, so the boat is rocking too much because of the impact. My stone goes wide.
Sling stone skips nicely across the ocean.
Yeah.
I'll take a shot at one of the archers.
All right, cool.
12.
That hits.
Uh,
Longbow should be 1d.
7 damage. Or sorry, yeah, 6 damage.
That drops another one. One of the archers, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, shoot at the archer.
Yeah, he drops to the deck. Arrows sticking through his chest. He goes, kind of like falls off. He does a bit of a Wilhelm scream as he falls over the deck. Anybody else?
I'm going to switch to short bow and take a shot at one of the archers across the way.
Okay.
Does a 10 hit?
It does not. Anybody else have any actions before we're going to actually engage in actual initiative combat?
No, I was just going to help chop at those landing. My brain just turned off.
Okay.
Grappling hooks, thank you.
All right, cool. All right, so you managed to get about 4 of them, from hooking on. 2 of them are still attached, but 2 ropes is not providing much of a purchase, for them to stay attached to the ship. That's kind of too few points of contact, and so you can tell that they're really struggling to stay alongside, especially considering you're now going opposite the direction they're facing. As they're kind of floundering alongside, the ship, you can see that they are the men who are ready to board. The boarding party. Looks like they're still going to go for it. They're actually lining up on the at the gunwales of the galley. Sorry, a little tongue tied. And you see them start to jump. Trying to grab onto the logs that are hanging off the side and using it as a ladder, trying to come up.
It's your funeral.
So We're gonna roll initiative just to see if you can get a jump on the archers, but you will still have probably a good turn of combat against any of the guys climbing up onto the boat, up onto the ship, because they're currently busy. But go ahead and roll me an initiative, everybody.
Six.
Apply your. Was that you, Drogo, that got a 6?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, and that was with your dex bonus or anything?
I do not have a dex bonus.
Okay, Shane.
I got an 8 with my dex bonus.
Nice. Ace Gear.
I got a 5 with my dex bonus.
5. Go. Or Var, I should say.
I got an 18 with my dex.
Nice.
18 with your dex.
C.
Oh, it should be a D6 for initiative and Noah.
Oh, wait, wrong one. I got a 7 with my dex.
All right, cool. All right, and Igor.
I got a 2 with my dex.
Well, Igor. All right. So the initiative order is going to be then Orvar, Lucaldo, Drogo, and then the bad guys. And then Aeskir and Igor. So, Lucaldo, you're first.
I'm going to attack the closest combatant, whether that's a guy climbing or an archer that I can reach with my short sword. I'm attacking that fellow.
Okay. So you're gonna try and get one of the guys who's boarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's the closest, he's getting swung at.
All right. Yep. One of them scampering up the logs. The logs do provide them. Unfortunately, while they protected the hull, they provide a handy, point of egress up into the.
Okay, that was a 17, which I presume hits.
Oh yes.
And what does a short sword damage?
D6.
D6. That would be a 2.
You managed to run him through pretty well, but he's still coming. He kind of takes the blade, kind of into the side and sort of tumbles up onto the deck. All right, and so then Orvar.
I'm gonna take another shot at another archer.
Okay.
15
Hits.
for 3 damage.
Sink the arrow into him. He drops, falls to the deck. Another one down and dead. Drogo.
I'm going to swing at the closest one with my short sword. That is a 6 to hit.
You miss. You swing wide on them. Don't even make contact. These guys are pretty lightly armed and armored. Most of them are only carrying a shield and really light leather, so they're not too well protected. But they are ocean-going warriors. They're not going to be wearing chain or anything like that. All right, so that then brings us to the baddies, as they like to say. The first wave of them, four warriors, make their way up over the side of Kaza's vessel. Lucaldo, the one that you stabbed, swings his axe, completely misses, and falls flat on his face. Probably too wounded.
I hit him better than I thought.
Drogo, the one that you engaged, that you tried to, he comes barreling up over the side, and he stabs at you with a short sword, and just completely misses you. Coming up, he really did one of those like vault over the side, and try and stab down at you, kind of a thing.
Aha! You missed.
And of course they're screaming and yelling at you. Orvar, you said you were at the side of the ship firing, right? You're muted.
Yeah, I just kind of move back a little bit just to take some shots, but
All right, cool. So one of them comes over the edge and kind of charges in at you, tries to take a swing at you with a boarding axe, so you're just a little hand axe. He also misses, just swings wide again. And Igor.
Igor is going to rush towards.
You're getting attacked.
Oh.
And he misses horribly. Like, not only does he swing wide, but he hits the mast near you, and his axe is stuck in the mast. He's like, you can see immediately he can't pull it out as soon as he swings it in. That would then bring us to Ace Gear.
Okay, Ace Gear will again use his sling on one of the archers.
Okay. I think you
And
nailed 3 of the 5 that were there.
that'll be an 8, so I will miss.
At least this time you hit the ship. It thunks off the deck and ricochets.
Yeah.
And Igor.
Igor ducks that axe, grabs his spear and shield, and stabs through the abdomen to the guy who just tried to hit him.
All right.
Oh, does a 9 hit?
It does not.
Oh.
So you swing, but you know what? Yeah, it still wouldn't hit. Unfortunately, even with a modifier for him being slightly off kilter.
What about a luck point?
You can go ahead and use luck points. Those are a thing in this game. Remember, folks.
I would like to try to see if I can hit him with luck.
All right, so let's review luck points real quick. So with a single luck point, you can make an extra attack or automatically hit an opponent. So you could go ahead and do that.
Okay. Then I will automatically try to hit him with luck.
Okay. That would spending a luck point would automatically hit him.
Okay. For damage, I do 5 with my strength bonus.
Wow. You cut him down.
I stab him right through the abdomen like a kebab.
Oh yeah, you can feel your blade poke out from the other side of him as you go. You sink through him, and he just kind of.
I laugh.
The last
kick him off.
Last 2 archers let loose a couple of shots. One of them sailing at Ace Gear, and that misses. The other one sailing towards Coco with counterfire. Not Coco, excuse me. Orvar with counterfire here. That hits. And he hits you for a single point of damage. So he basically sticks in your shoulder or something like that, or goes through your abdominal tissues. Doesn't hit anything important.
Yeah, missed me.
That would bring us then to the next round of combat, which tops us off at Lacaldo.
The fellow that I attacked, I fell in his face. I'm just going to finish him off.
All right.
Hopefully. That's the thought.
All right.
And like my friend Igor, I'm laughing. I'm having fun with it. That is an 11.
That does not hit based just on the die roll.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. All right. Orvar?
I'm going to draw my sword and swing at the guy that came at me.
Okay.
14 to hit for 4 damage.
All right. You managed to drop him. He falls to the deck, sliding off your blade after you slash him across the neck. And so Drogo.
I'm going to feign a headbutt on the guy that attacked me, but
Okay.
I'm actually going to try to run him through with my sword.
All right. Go ahead and make your attack at +1.
12.
That hits.
And what's the short sword damage? 1d6.
D6.
He's not
You add your strength to that?
Your strength, yeah, your strength bonus goes to hit and the damage.
Okay. So that would be. Look that up real quick.
I mean, depending on your strength, it is, of course. Let's see.
Okay, so it would be 5.
All right, that's enough to drop another one. So he falls to the deck, and is clearly not in the greatest of conditions. I mean, he's dead. But, so that then would bring us to the boarding party. They so the I think what you've killed. Yeah, at this point you've killed 3 of the 4 that already made it onto the deck. Another 4 are making their way up over the deck. So the one that is still alive, that was, I believe, engaged with Lacaldo, yeah. He misses because they evidently can't actually fight.
And I'm hard to hit.
Another one piles in up behind him and swings at you with a wicked curved blade and hits. It's going to be 2 points of damage.
Okay.
It cuts you across. You got himself like a scimitar as he slashes it across you. Orvar, another one, makes his way over the top and swings on you and misses. Drogo, you find yourself facing another one coming up over the deck there. He misses also, and then Igor, you are attacked, and that hits 3 points of damage as he connects with an axe to you. Let me hold on real quick. All right, so just for future reference and a clarification on luck points too, you guys have a finite amount of them. You don't know how many you have. You do have to declare the luck point use before you make the roll. So going forward, we'll keep that. But also the basics, like single luck point, you can make an extra attack, automatically hit an opponent. Those are the combat effective ones. For 2 luck points, you can knock a person out with a fist or a weapon. So with 3 luck points, you can actually perform a heroic action beyond the scope of the rules. So with 3 luck points, you can do rule breaking things like auto kills and stuff like that if you wanted. So, but that does burn through your luck points, and your luck points restore on a per adventure basis, not per session or anything like that. So just a quick rules review, seeing as Igor brought up the luck points. And I did make I think the doc is still available to everybody if you want to go ahead and review that. But if I need to post it somewhere for you, let me know. But all right. So that then brings us to the next round of combat.
Did I get to go?
Will sorry. Yeah, well, seeing an arrow impale itself in the mast next to him, Aesgear is really getting pissed off, and he will again use his sling on the archers.
Okay.
And this time, the sling hits the mast, and the stone clatters on the deck in front of him because I rolled a 1.
You wicketed yourself. All right, so Igor, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, I'll find the one that just attacked me, and I'm going to stab him with my spear. 7 doesn't hit. I need to use a luck point to hit him.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and back up on that luck point rule. I'm going to say you can use them. You can call them whenever you want. If you want to, I like the idea of them being used in a more informed, an informed way. So you don't have to call the use of a luck point before you roll the die. So you can make your luck point use. That way you're using them in a way that's meaningful and not wasting them. So
Oh,
go ahead.
okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and you want to use a luck point to auto hit then?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
With strength, 5 damage.
All right, that cuts another one down. And that brings us then to the top of the round again. So there are currently 4 active and living up on the deck now. 4 warriors on the deck. There's still 2 archers left. It does not look like there's another wave of warriors ready to come up yet, though. So what you have on the deck right now is what you're going to have to deal with for the moment. So that's going to bring us then to the top of initiative again. That's Lacaldo.
I am going to continue on the fellow that I've already wounded. Try to finish him off. And that is a 10. That's not going to happen. I will use a luck point since I'm already wounded to automatically hit him.
Okay. And this is the one that's already wounded that you hadn't finished off yet, or the new guy? Okay, cool.
And that's 5 points damage, so that should do it.
Okay. And seeing as we're getting into luck points and they're new, I'm going to go ahead and remind you that you can also use a luck point for an extra attack in a round. If you wanted to. So.
Sure. Since I have 2 of them right in front of me. He's kind of giggling now versus laughing. A little maniacal. And he slipped on something. He missed. Wasn't a failure, though.
Okay. So, what'd you end up rolling?
At 3.
Oh, yeah, you missed. All right. And so then that's going to bring us to Orvar.
In fact, when it came at me, I was sorry, like, oh, damn you. 16 to hit.
That hits for sure.
For 2 damage. Big 2 damage.
You cut him deep, but he's still standing. All right. He kind of even yells out, a bit of spittle and blood splashes across your face as you cut him across to the abdomen.
Actually, if everyone's using luck points, I'm going to take another attack at him. Take another swing.
Go for it.
Yeah.
14 to hit.
14 also hits, yeah.
8 damage this time.
Oh, that easily. Not only do you cut him down, but he goes down in a very gruesome way. There's a spray of blood as half of his body hits the deck before the other half of him.
Aesir will recognize my curse as something bad against his mother.
All right. And so that brings us then to Drogo.
Okay, so how big is the guy in front of me?
He's kind of a bandy sort of, gaunt, piratey sailor kind of guy. He's not a big burly dude.
So I pick him up.
Okay.
And I throw him, if I can, there should be one more guy that's still up and moving. Because wasn't there 4 and I think 3
You're
fell?
me, yeah.
Yeah.
So I throw him at the guy that has not been killed yet.
All right. Go ahead real quick and make for me make an attack roll to see if you can actually grab him.
$19.
Easily grab him, and go ahead and make a strength check to see if you can chuck him. Roll under. Do a d20 roll under your strength.
I rolled a 3.
Oh yeah, he goes sailing, and you grab him and just hurtle him across, and you knock the guy And he knocks into the guy. Not only does he hit the guy, but they both fall over over the side of the ship, and you can hear them just, and you can hear a momentary crunch as the two boats clash together right as they kind of hit the water.
I scream at the top of my lungs, "Who else wants to die today?"
That now leaves us, I think, with 2 guys alive on deck, plus the 2 archers. All right, so it is now their turn. The 2 that are on deck kind of look at each other and dive over the edge. They actually jump back. They jump back and kind of plummet back down to the deck of their ship. The archers let loose a couple of shots. Arrow sails past you, Orvar, and misses. And Lacaldo, an arrow sails past you and misses. But with that, you can see that the crew on the other ship are actually pulling out boarding pikes and pushing against Kaza's ship to try and put some distance between the 2 ships now.
I start yelling at them and telling them they're cowards.
I yell "Arr!" at them in their general direction.
There's a resounding round of cheers from the crew as you guys repel the boarders. And the celebration is cut short as the man in the lookout above says, "The second one's coming in straight ahead. You're dead ahead."
Aesgeir will run towards the bow of the ship so he can be ready to use his sling. And as he runs by Orvar, he just says, "You owe me a silver."
You can see the galley has managed in the combat there, and as you were kind of tied up with the other ship alongside, the second galley seems to have maneuvered its way to where it's heading straight towards the bow of the ship with its ram-proud bow. You're on a nice big wide-bodied cargo transport vessel, and so they don't really have to worry too much about the angle of attack so much with their ram, so they're just coming right down your throat. And you can see that they actually have you can tell by looking, Aesgeir, that they have a boarding plank actually raised up at the front of the bow, ready to drop.
Okay.
You can see the glint of what look like long spikes at the end of it.
I'm going to recover my bow and just start before they attack.
Is there some way we can throw that boarding plank off the edge and into the water when it hits the floor?
By the looks of it, if it hits the deck, it'll probably kind of nail itself in with the spikes. It's going to grip onto the deck. You'll have to take some time to try and dislodge it if it connects. There's always an if.
Do we have any of those logs on our ship that rolled on?
There's a second set of them that are on the other side of the ship that haven't been dropped. Imagine logs that are looped together with ropes and then kind of rolled up into a bundle and then held at each side of the ship. And then when they cut the lines, they drop.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of unfurl and hang on side. The other side is still rolled up, but they're coming head on.
If we put it crossways, when they drop the thing, it won't attach itself to the floor, and we can slide the whole thing off the side. What do you guys think?
I don't know if you have enough time for that.
It might save us having to fight, however many more are coming across.
Go ahead and try.
Okay, I'll need at least one other person to help me move this.
You don't want the weakling.
Well,
I tell the crew, help me move this log towards the side that I assume they're gonna board. and then we'll have each of us positioned left and right side with the log, and hopefully when the thing drops, it won't nail into the deck itself, and we can just try to slide the whole thing with the thing over the side. That's
Okay.
the plan anyway.
All right. So who all is going to be moving the logs?
I'll help.
So you're gonna you and so Drogo and Igor, you're gonna be moving the log. Lacaldo, you said you went up to the bow and you're getting ready to return fire.
Yeah, I was thinking I'll stick my sword into the boat and just get my bow and fire as many arrows as I can until I get within hand-to-hand range.
All right.
Yeah,
Ace
same here.
All right. Cool.
Also getting, at the bow ready to fire a slingshot as soon as they're in range.
All right.
Cover us, Orvar and Ace Gear, while we do this.
So, Lacaldo, what kind of bow did you have?
I believe we picked up longbows, but he wouldn't have known the difference.
All right. I was just going to try it. So, because longbows outrange short bows, so you guys would get a turn of fire at them before they would be able to close in far enough to shoot at you.
Yeah, I mean,
So, Lacaldo and Orvar, go ahead and get your shots in if you are indeed trying to repel.
17.
You hit.
I got a 14.
Very nice.
14 also hits.
4 damage.
All right.
That's a 6-sider.
Yes. For longbow, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Aren't they? D6? Or is it different for...
D6 for a longbow.
I think it's D6 for arrows.
Yeah, arrows are just D6, and it's just the difference in range in OSC. Yeah. So,
and they don't have dex, right, for damage?
What?
They don't add dex for damage?
No.
Hit. Right.
Just to hit, not for damage. Right. So what'd you roll for? So you got 2 Lacaldo, and you got how much Orvar?
4.
All right. So Lacaldo, you drop 1. Orvar, Orvar drops 1. Lacaldo, you hit, but you don't. He doesn't drop with only 2 damage. All right. And so they are coming in fast and hard, and you can see that, Kaza and crew are doing their damnedest to try and get the ship to turn to where, hoping to because they're bearing down on you like full tilt, like full oars and everything. So he's trying to skid off to the side, to the point where he's got half of his crew actually on the side of the ship, sort of leaning and trying to slide freight to the side and everything, trying to get extra angle on it. Go ahead and shoot Lacaldo and Orvar. Go ahead and fire another round of arrows if you're going to.
Only a 9.
Does not hit.
3 does not hit.
Does not hit. All right.
But are they within range of the sling at this point?
They are now, yeah, because the sling matches short bow.
Yes. Okay, so I will attempt to hit them, and rotten luck, I roll a 5.
You are not good with that sling, sir.
No.
All right, so a volley of arrows comes from the other ship. None of them hit. Just thump, 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 thump. All kind of land on the deck, missing you. And just as they look like they're about to hit, you can tell because you're right up there on the bow. As they're coming in, you're starting to turn away, and Kaza manages to steer the ship out of the way to where they just graze past you. In fact, he kind of ends up shearing off their oars as he peels along the side, and you just hear them snapping and splintering as his big, heavy. He's got a light sailing ship, but overall bulk wise, easily enough to just shear off those oars, and it kind of the nose of the galley glances off the side of the ship and sort of sends the galley sort of spinning a bit out of control as that energy just kind of causes it to lurch and kind of just peel off and start sailing away from it. As you do, there's another rousing, cheer from the crew as they look around and sort of look back, and you can see the galley is just sort of floundered. It's just sort of sitting there because it's only got one bank of oars at this point. The other galley is circling around, but does not seem to be giving chase. It looks like you managed to repel the pirates.
So as at this point, I assume that we're moving away from that second ship, and Aesgear will just say, "I'll bet they'll be going around in circles for a while."
So Kaza jumps down from the stern castle, leaving his first mate to tend the wheel, the tiller, and kind of I think we're a little early tech for wheels, but tend the tiller and comes up and he's like, "Ha! I knew it! I knew I put good money into hiring you strong backs, your sore arms. Now let's clean this deck of this filth and get drunk."
Mind if I just sit down and bleed for a bit?
Come on, you heard the man. Let's go.
You can see they're already busy, like just chucking the guys over the side, and you can as they do, you can see the water starting to get peppered by black fins.
How far away is the other boat?
The other boat?
Far, yeah.
You're probably within range of your bow still, if you want.
Yeah, I think long is 200. So I'm gonna take a parting shot with a modified 20. As a fuck you for 6 points of damage.
You managed to sail an arrow back and nail what looks like the other ship's bosun in the back. He just drops, falls off the stern of the ship.
Great shot.
Aesgear, does that cover my silver piece?
I look at him with admiration because that's a 1 in a million type shot, and I say, "I bet it does."
Good shot, Orvar. I slap him on the back.
Beginner's luck.
All right. So as you kind of watch behind you, you can tell that the water starts to redden and froth as the sharks find the fallen. And you sail off, heading out to sea, and have plenty of time to tend your wounds. So I think a couple of you took some pretty sizable wounds, given your total hit points.
Yeah, I did.
First level.
Are you worse than half, Igor?
I'm about half, but it's an odd number, so it doesn't split evenly.
I only have 5, and I took 2, so it was a good wound. It'll start nicely.
I'm an eighth of a man that I used to be. I got a cool scar for next time I hit the taverns. I got this scar.
I'm going to use the heal on my buddy Igor, so you get 1 hit point back right now.
How much?
1, just 1.
1. Okay. So then I'm at 5 out of 7.
All right. And of course, we are using the heroic healing. So as long as you guys will heal 1 point per day, regardless of rest, and you'll heal half your constitution per day if you rest. So
Round it up or round it down?
I always round in favor of the players.
Okay.
All right. That's my general rule, makes it easy for me to remember. All right. So having repelled the pirates, the ship, the vessel kind of returns to its standard order of business, and you continue to sail out towards the open sea.
I will take that drink.
And then, definitely, you've won the favor of the crew. Your recuperation is punctuated by a pretty routine litany of well dones and thank yous and free drinks. You are each treated to captain's portions of rations for the night, which means real meat and real vegetables. Um, so, but it definitely seems like you are continuing to head out to sea. I mean, you're not going. This wasn't like a little 3-hour tour. You're on a voyage. So.
I'm going to take stock of the arrows and make sure that Orvar's and Igor's quivers are full versus mine, because why do I need them?
I need one. That's it.
That's right. You had bought some extra arrows, if I recall. Yeah.
I'll try to obtain whatever arrows I can from that's like sticking in the boat that they're still good. I'm a Fletcher, so I could possibly fix them, but
Yeah.
do my best.
So the rate of travel is pretty good. I actually did some checking, and map scale wise, you guys would be moving about 4 hexes a day on a sailing ship under full sail with favorable winds. So you make your way out into the Sanguin Sea, and you find yourself off the coast of Falkia, which is the sort of client state of Arturia that's on that little peninsula. And as you clear the peninsula, Kaza takes his vessel and it starts to swing southward, leaving the region of the Northlands. You sail for several days. He's not going into the open ocean. He seems to be staying within view of the coast, even though he definitely is seaworthy. If anybody bothers to ask, he lets you know that he's basically trying to stick as close to the continent as possible to avoid the Linlock Isles, because those raiders are definitely not anybody he wants to tangle with. And Orvar and Aeskir and Drogo, you would all know the Linlock Isles as basically colonized territory by your folk. It's the southernmost Northman settlements, basically Vantican islands that were occupied by the Norse. So, but yeah, so you travel probably a good week's time south, and while it is winter, you can feel that the general climate, the weather is growing warmer, relatively speaking. Of course, as you leave the cool north and move into parts a little bit closer to the equator. Once you are well past the Linlock Isles, Kaza takes a very abrupt portward course change, heading out towards the open sea.
What? Why are we heading out to open sea?
Well, this journey you've embarked on is a very special one, and I may have need of your sword arms for another task besides repelling pirates.
Care to elaborate?
Ah,
Tell the
yes.
story, my man.
Well, have you ever heard of the Eye?
The eye?
I
Which
don't
eye?
see what you
The
mean.
the me?
No, no. It's a treasure. It's a huge pearl, known as the Eye of Kemet.
Ah, well,
I see.
my eye?
Probably not. You
Okay.
look, although I mean, it doesn't ring a bell for you folks.
I have not heard of it, but I would like to hear from you.
Uh, well,
If not now, then soon.
I hope you will forgive a humble sea captain for not being quite upfront with you when I hired you on, but I do have reasons for hiring such able-bodied warriors. You see, the Eye of Kemet is an ancient treasure said to be on a lone island deep in the ocean. I intend to find it, or more specifically, I have been paid handsomely to find it.
How would this change the situation for us if we were to help you do this?
Well, the Eye is part of a great treasure, and it is only the Eye that my employer is in any way interested in. Whatever treasures we find along the way, I would say you are each entitled to a fair share.
Yes.
But the Eye belongs to the man who pays our way.
That is an acceptable term to me. And in fact, if you had led with this story, you might have piqued my interest even then.
Well, I wanted to know I could trust you and what kind of men you were before I offered you this opportunity. Had you simply proven to be the sort who would do only their duty and repel boarders, I might have left you in a port in Falkia or something. But you seem like the sort of men that I want by my side when we set upon land again and go searching for the Eye.
I bet it is easy to trust people on your ship in the middle of the ocean. But it's also easy for me to do as you ask, since there may be rewards worth the effort.
Yes, I'm curious about that myself.
There will be many rewards, I assure you. Great riches are told to be in the presence of the Eye.
You had me a treasure.
Yes, I can tell that about you. Sell swords all, but we still have some time before we get there. I hope you are comfortable with your quarters, and I hope your rations are fair.
Kaza, this is the world of man now, and men need money.
Well then, you will have your riches, and you will continue to eat well and drink well until we arrive. By the way, go ahead and heal your hit points. You've had plenty of time to rest in weeks worth of voyage here. So,
Kaza, what do you pay for pirates that I put down? Do I get an extra bounty? I have a weird guild to pay so I can go back home. I killed at least 4, possibly 5 men in the last excursion.
I believe I offered you a per day wage, didn't I not?
But if I decide to not fire upon these pirates, maybe one takes you out.
I'll pay you an extra silver for each one you kill.
All right, well, so I'll have to remember how many I killed, but you told me at least 4 or 5. So
You're already getting a full share of the treasure of the eye. Don't get greedy, Sellsword.
But arrows are not cheap. But where am I going to get arrows? I'm no longer on land. I'll take half a silver.
He looks to the rest of you. He's like, I could just as easily offer your friends an extra share to throw you overboard.
Oh, okay. That's how you want to play it?
Oh, no. I prefer to keep things amiable, but let's be realistic.
All right. I'll keep a running tally. We'll discuss at the end of the return to port. We'll discuss our wages.
A duty well served will be a duty well rewarded, I assure you.
All right. I'll take you at your word for it, since you didn't tell us about this eye before.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. I'll find some alcohol and sit and count my arrows.
All right. So another week at sea, and it seems like your journey is never ending. I mean, at this point, you're well acquainted with the pitch and yaw of the boat. Those of you who are not seagoing folk, you've made quite. You've integrated with the crew pretty well. You know that the bosun is a burly man with a short temper. The first mate is very much a no nonsense, very business minded, nowhere near as jovial as Kaza. There are quite a mixed group, both in nationalities and personalities as far as the crew goes. But one thing you have noticed amongst the crew is a good number of them seem to be freed slaves. Like, you can tell that they bear the marks of harsh service. A lot of them have like shackle scars and whip marks and stuff and the like. So it's definitely a crew of freed men. And so the general demeanor is one of a very tight bond of brotherhood.
Well, during the trip, I would have plied each man for stories, true or not. And if they requested stories from me, I would have given them freely as well. I'm just trying to gain as much knowledge, rumor as possible. And if nothing else, it takes up time.
All right. All right. So as you were gathering information, you gain a couple of rumors. And I will go ahead and make sure to also post these into the thread for the in-world information. But one of them is that Praetor Argentus is recruiting scouts to go up the Black River. The Praetor is the Argentus is the kind of the governor of Lancia. He's looking to recruit people to go scouting up the river. The man you talk to basically speaks about it as if it's something that he had come across, but of course, being a man of the sea was not something he was interested in. But he had heard that there was this offer back in Lancia. And another man speaks of a Valkyrie who was seen in Lancia, who was asking questions around town, seeking a man with a purple beard. And I've gone and posted those to the in-world notes on the Discord.
Okay.
So you'll have access to them later. But yeah, so after that second week of travel into the open ocean is ended when you hear sort of the words you've been hoping to hear for probably over a week now. Land ho. Shouted from on high. As you look, you can see a small kind of heap of green surrounded by a very pale sandy belt at the shore of an island. Not very tall, not very, not a very big island. It looks like it has like maybe one peak on the island, and you can see a small trail of smoke or steam curling off the top of that peak. But yeah, so imagine sort of a little single isolated island with a white sandy beach around it that has a belt of green that leads up to this sort of squat sort of barren mountain at the middle of it.
Well, there it is.
Are we expecting natives?
I hear that only wild beasts inhabit the island, but we'd best be careful. Legends speak of other things, dragons, demons, the gods themselves, but these things are less inclined to believe them.
Creatures with mouths as big as this boat, Lucaldo.
Well, it's a good thing that while we are not careful, we are deadly.
Well, we will set ashore by boats, and we will then brave the interior of the island. I will come with you myself, and I will say, along with my boatswain, will leave the first mates in charge, but my men will stay with the ship just in case the pirates come back.
Do you have an idea where this pearl is?
It is said to be in a cave at the center of the island.
You don't have a map by chance, do you? Even a crude one?
He holds out a piece of like parchment, crude parchment. I mean, it still has the hair of the goat on the opposite side of it. It's really more of a finished skin. You can see some crude charcoal marks that are barely more informative than your visualization of the island from the sea. It's clearly got a ring around the outer area showing like the beach, kind of a squiggly scribble that you can guess is supposed to be the jungle, and then there's a mountain drawn in the center of it very crudely, and there is a dot in there. You can see sort of a ragged, squiggled charcoal mark that cuts through the jungle from a wide section of beach. So this is all the man had to offer. Evidently, this map is all that remains of the last party to try and find the eye.
Well, if we don't find any pirates here, then there will probably be pirates on the way home. So look forward to that, at least, Igor.
More pirates. More fish food is what I say.
At least this is a chance to reprovision the boat, if nothing else.
Yeah, fresh water would be nice at this point.
Fresh water, some fruit. Maybe some nuts.
Seeing the map, Aesgeir will lean over to Orvar and say, the children in my village would scribble better drawings than this.
I wonder if he would risk his men and his boat over a map written by some old hag. I guess we'll see how correct this map truly is.
Maps. Who needs maps? We'll find it.
Yes, we'll find something, I'm sure. Bet you a silver piece we find something. And I punched Aesgeir in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So the ship drops anchor a ways off from the island, still in deep water. You can see that based on the color of the water. You're kind of outside of a reef that separates the island from the open ocean. They lower a boat down with you in it, and with Kaza and his bosun with him.
Ace Gear will grab a couple of torches and a tinderbox or whatever means we have of lighting a fire quickly on the boat to bring with him.
Okay. Kaza's bosun does bring with him looks like an oil lamp.
Okay.
And so they do have torches available,
Yeah.
and flint and steel, tinder.
Yeah, I just noticed I do have flint and steel, but I will take 2 torches with me.
Okay. So you set down in the water, kind of expected to do the rowing to get you to the island. It looks like, seeing as there are 2 sets of oars that are on the boat, so it's enough for 4 of you to do the pulling. It's Kaza and his bosun kind of keep an eye on the shore as you approach. Ricaldo, you're probably the one not rowing.
I'm not jumping toward an oar, no.
But you make your way across the reef. As you travel across the reef, you can see it's relatively shallow. You can see a pretty colorful assortment of fish, and occasionally the longer, more languid forms of big fish kind of cruising over the reef. Something.
You see that fish there, Lucaldo? That one's coming for you. Watch out.
You see occasionally serpentine forms that move underneath the boat across the reef, and it's hard to tell if they are fish or just seaweed, but eventually clear the reef and make it to the wide stretch of beach. Wide white sand, and you can see sort of the looming wall of what looks like a pretty impenetrable jungle separating you from the mountain at the center of the island. All around you, you can hear the cackling and cawing of birds, even what sounds something like maybe monkeys. None of you have probably heard monkeys outside of a market, because you're all Northmen. Last time I checked, there weren't a lot of temperate monkeys. A great Arctic monkey, but
you have offended Sasquatch.
Well, I mean, it is a sword and sorcery world, so I mean, there are apes everywhere. But no, you can hear that, and so clearly the island is alive. You can see occasionally, flocks of birds will take flight from the trees. You can hear things whooping and sort of howling and stuff in the jungle. Small crabs and the like kind of skitter across the sand. You see discarded shells here and there, little patches of detritus, flotsam and jetsam, stinking the beach up. But it's definitely a very alive island. The air around the island, though, is heavy with the odor of sulfur and other like volcanic gases, and you can tell that what is rising off of that mountain is a combination of smoke, and then there are smaller little trails of steam that disappear quicker, a little quicker into the air than us.
What is that over there? A campfire on the hill?
I think it would have to be a large one.
Kaza kind of looks around, and we see him looking at the map. I'm not sure where this path is supposed to be, but we should look around maybe and find it.
Yes.
Yes, let's follow the map as much as we could.
I assume that we cannot tell the orientation of the map versus the island because it's so crudely drawn. And Ace Gear is going to suggest that we walk along the beach and see if we can find an opening in the tree line that we can use to travel inland.
Okay. So direction-wise, are you heading left or right on the beach?
Good question. I suggest we go right.
All right. Start marching down the beach.
As we march down the beach, I want to look see if there's any game trails or something that's coming out of the jungle or what have you.
Okay. As you move along the beach, you come across the occasional sets of tracks that seem to come out of the jungle and sort of meander around the beach, finding discarded shelves of crabs and the like. You can see that something clearly occasionally comes down to the beach and forages for food. If you follow the tracks around, you'll see that you might end in a very heavily mutilated crab or a piece of dead fish or something like that.
Ricaldo starts watching the badger to see what it does to all this.
All right. So your badger, Bob, I'm assuming that's spelled in some sort of crazy Norse way, like BHAB.
I honestly didn't give it any thought, but that makes sense.
What's that? No, you see him sniffing the air, kind of grunting and snorting.
And since Ricaldo has no idea whether it's normal or not, he's like, oh.
I'm gonna maybe inspect the tracks, see if I've ever come across them before. I have a 20% chance to identify tracks potentially. I guess if it's putting in my area. I'm not too sure. I guess because it's in the sand. I rolled a 33.
I would say in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're still able to identify them. They look like boar tracks.
Okay. Well, that's good eating.
And really, I'll give you that one only because you'd be pretty familiar with boar.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, I get that there's only a 20% chance, but I have a feeling that, like most of the skills, that's supposed to be identifying things under extenuating circumstances. Like thief skills, they're not the only ones that listen for things. Yeah.
I'll say one thing about this place: no shortage of food here.
But you can see that the boar tracks are relatively recent too, probably within the last hour.
How big a boar is this that I'm looking at? Hogsvilla, or was this like a regular sized boar?
Looks like a regular sized boar, not a giant boar or anything like that.
Still dangerous enough.
Well, I assume Orvar will report that the kinds of tracks it is, and upon hearing that they're boar tracks, Aesgear will bet that the crew would be quite happy if we were to bring some of that fresh meat back on board.
That's a good idea.
So you continue to your search, or are you following the tracks, or what are you doing?
I vote we just continue our search.
Okay. So continuing your way around the beach for a while, you definitely see a few game trails. I mean, the boar tracks clearly came out of the jungle. The sands themselves, they continue to show signs of life. And up ahead though, you can see what looks like a small rise in the sand.
Like it's headed towards the.
No, like we're on a relatively flat beach, and there's like a hump in the sand.
And there's no rocks out in the ocean to kind of.
Doesn't look like it's part of. You don't see any other associated rocks or anything, no.
Is the hump above or below the tide line?
Currently, above the tide line, it's below the tide line.
Okay. This is odd because the sea usually washes the sand flat.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be some sort of capsized boat or wreckage or something like that that got sand covered on it. So he's got his staff out, and he's not in the lead. He's letting.
I'll go first.
He's letting the wilderness types do that, but he's kind of like.
All right. So, what are you doing, Drogo?
I'm going to slowly approach it and see if I can figure out if it's natural or man-made or covering something up. Or
I'm gonna
as you approach. Oh, go ahead, Igor.
I'm gonna have my spear out and my shield up as if there's something buried under there, like a big animal or something.
Okay. Iskir, Orvar, what are you guys doing?
I'll draw my unlock the arrow on my bow, and I'll just keep watch. I'll advance edge too, but
all right. So approaching the mound or the lump, you can definitely see that it is something under the sand. You can't really see any details, but you can see that there's a definite. It's definitely got an outline of sorts. It's not some larger piece of topography. It's like flat sand, bump in the sand.
Does it look like an animal or?
It's ovular in shape. Definitely not in a regular shape like a rock would be. But it doesn't really. It doesn't bring to mind any specific creature.
Okay. Ace Gear will look for a small pebble in the sand, and from a distance toss it onto the mound.
All right. The pebble kind of thunks on the sand and sort of stays put. You see a sort of wet bubbling come up from the sand at one side of the lump, kind of a gurgling of water and air bubbles.
All right, I guess I'll go look and see what it is.
Okay. So you're describing
my sword out. I'm going to approach it kind of hunched over with my sword in my hand. Just trying to safely approach it, I guess. As I get close, kind of tap on it with my sword.
All right. So you tap on it with your sword. You can feel as your sword hits, there's a buffering of the sandy covering, and then a clack.
Like a metallic or a
not a clang, not a metal or a clang. It's more like a clack, like almost like a woody or bony clack.
I'm gonna try to brush some of the sand aside with my sword.
So as you start to do that and start to move the sand, the ground around you heaves suddenly, and kind of throws you back as the sand kind of lifts up, and unfurling from the sand is first one huge pincer and then another massive pincer as this broad crab form rises from the sand and kind of lunges a claw at you.
I'm going to yell at it to stop.
All right.
There you go.
Are you?
I'm using my speak with animals.
All right.
I'm going to try to convince it we're not food.
Oh, let me go ahead and pull that up here real quick. So you're trying to convince it that you're not food.
Yeah.
Fish are friends.
Bring you aboard.
All right, so you're speaking with it to try and get it to understand that you're not
At least not to eat me.
all right, but it kind of lurches and sort of turns towards you, and it does snap at you with its pincer.
Okay.
But it looks like it's more of like a threatening snap. You know, kind of not going at you, but going around you.
I'll just back up.
All right, as you back up, it sort of settles back down into the sand. You can sort of see it shimmy and cover itself back up, and kind of go back to being a pretty innocuous lump in the sand.
Did you just tell that thing to go back to sleep?
Kind of. I just told it it
What
wouldn't.
was
amazing.
that? I've never seen something so giant. What was
Assume
it?
it's a giant crab of some kind.
Can we walk around it on the beach?
Oh yeah, you can definitely walk around it. And it's there's plenty of beach still.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not blocking your path. It just happens to be along your way.
And I look over at Drago. Will it let us go by now that you did what you did?
I don't know. I wouldn't push my luck, so we'll just give it wide berth.
Good man. And he's
All right. So what are you doing?
I would like to walk around it and keep going on the beach unless somebody has an idea of going into the jungle here for some reason.
Well,
We might. I mean, if we can keep it. Hang on. Look and see if we can see the mouth of a trail or whatever that goes into the
You think
jungle.
it might be protecting something?
Who knows? I can't talk to it, but I can convey basic ideas like we're not food.
Is there any sort of glint of metal or stonework anywhere around here?
Other than beach rock and the like, you're not seeing much. You do see a few scattered pieces of planking caught up in the seaweed and stuff on the on the beach. So it looks like there is some wreckage of other vessels in the area.
Why don't we go look at the wreckage and see if we can identify anything within it?
I'll do that. Wary of more crabs.
Yeah, you don't as you approach. You'll go over to look at the the wreckage that's in the water there. It's kind of half in the surf and sort of tangled up. You don't see any other large mounds. Occasionally, you do disturb smaller crabs that go scuttling out of the sand. There is the usual beachcombers that you would expect to find. What you find are pretty broad planks, like you would find on a ship hull. You even find a few curved spars that look like maybe the ribs of a ship, former ribs of a ship. But they're pretty old. They're already covered in barnacle, a pretty heavy layer of barnacles, and quite rotted. They've been here for some time. The silence of not the silence, but the rhythm of the beach and the quiet of the beach is perforated by a shriek, a woman's scream from further down the beach.
I bet that's not a monkey, and I will jog towards where the
It could be a trap.
shriek came from.
All right.
Follow that gambler.
Running down the beach, kind of around the bend of the island. This island is not a very huge island, so the beach curves pretty sharply, and kind of, it's not like you're going, down one of the long like beaches in Hawaii or something like that, right? It's a pretty small island. You're almost assuredly pretty much standing on the mountain as it rises out of the ocean. If you had an understanding of that kind of stuff, but it's a small island. Make it around the arch of the island, though, and around the bend of the beach, kind of around the other side of a bit of the greenery that jets out and some rocks, and you see what looks like a small driftwood structure that has been like a primitive hut of driftwood that has been built on the beach, surrounded by an undulating mass of like red shells kind of moving around, glistening in the sun, and perched atop the structure with a piece of driftwood is a very tanned, sunburned woman poking and prodding at these, what clearly are like a mass of crabs that are trying to crawl up the structure and get to her.
Oh, yeah.
Should we go help her?
I'm game. Let's go.
This looks like a trap.
Well, you watch out for traps then.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming here that the crabs aren't particularly large in and of themselves. It's just that there's a huge mass of them.
Yeah, they all look like relatively normal crabs, normal-sized crabs. There's just a massive. I'm sure you've all seen images of those crab swarms.
Yeah,
it's a crab swarm.
okay. So
The coconut crabs.
They're not even that big. They're more like the vampire crabs. They're the red crabs that you see that occupy that one island. I don't know if there was even the vampire crabs. They're really bright red tropical crabs that they're maybe that big each, but there's 100 of them.
I'll draw my sword. Say, shall we?
and I will actually run back to the nearest large piece of driftwood.
Okay.
I'm looking for more of a beam than a plank, if possible, but a wide plank will also do. Hopefully,
you do find one of those curved spars, the ribs of the ship, a piece of it.
Yeah, hopefully something like 4 or 5 feet long at least, and several inches across.
Yeah, one of the ribs of the ship one of the ship ribs would fit that bill. Yeah.
Yeah, and my idea is to not be too close to the crab swarm, but close enough that I can sort of, toss it in a way that to smash it down on a pile of them. And hopefully, if we do that with a few of them, we can sort of build a bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a safe path.
I'm kind
I
of thinking.
do the same.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking. I understand what Asgar is getting at. I do the same as well.
All right, cool. So you're going to kind of collectively try and bridge the mass of crabs with planking. As you're doing this, she takes notice and she yells out something that's barely intelligible. Just more of a combination of surprise and relief as she continues to poke and prod at these crabs. You can tell as you get closer, her legs show a couple of they've tagged her a few times. She's got little streamers of blood coming off her legs and her toes. And there's red splotching on the driftwood. But you manage to span the crab mass, though they quickly start to sort of regroup and sort of try to move their way over it because there's enough of them. But you have a good span where you can get across if you needed to, or somebody could cross.
I'm just going to be attacking the various crabs as they do the heavy work.
So you're just going to kind of keep the crabs at bay while they do the work. Okay, cool. All right. Well, you managed to get your span put down. What are you doing next?
Let's get her across.
Yeah.
I'll just use my bow to knock crabs aside and come on.
Yeah.
Get pulled up. Each. And just.
All right. So she jumps down onto the planks and starts running across it. As she does, she kind of stumbles past you and sort of topples into the sand. She's looking pretty well for somebody who's clearly been out here. I mean, based on the color of her skin and the tone of her skin, that's she's been in the sun for quite some time. But she kind of stumbles past you and kind of tumbles out onto the sand as the crabs continue to sort of roil around the driftwood and kind of start creeping up on top of it. Not really aware that she's gone because they're crabs.
Fair enough.
They're not super intelligent brain crabs or anything like that.
They have no hive mind.
No, they're crabs. But no, she manages to she kind of collects herself and brushes herself off. She's dressed in what look to have once been fine clothing, now simply tattered. Fair bit of jewelry still on her as well. But she is a bit worse for wear. And I think this is a good place to stop. Right before you get to engage her. All right. So this was session 3. You've set sail. You've been kind of subtly waylaid onto an adventure by Kaza, who, though he didn't Shanghai you, kind of gave you an offer you couldn't refuse while in the middle of the ocean. But he offered to pay you. Let's go ahead and do our usual round of favorite moments. Licaldo.
I think talking to the humongous crab and telling him to stand down was awesome. Very cool.
Excellent. Ace Gear.
Drogo grabbing one of the pirates and tossing him at another and both tumbling down into the sea. That was epic.
Nice. Drogo?
Just like the whole boarding action was entertaining. Just how everybody seemed to find their niches and work with it, and defeat our opposition. I think it was really cool.
Excellent. Orvar.
Just
defending the boat from 2 other potential pirates I think was pretty good because they were all first level and worked pretty good together as a team. So
Yeah, I mean, you guys did amazingly well in that fight, considering the odds. Tactics, it makes the difference. Yeah, I mean, it really makes a difference. Igor.
What I really liked tonight was the anticipation of the enemy ship speeding towards us, and round by round, we're anticipating the battle about to start. That tension right there. That was a lot of fun.
Excellent. All right, cool. I very much thought that you guys all played your characters well. Yeah, you're continuing to be consistent with your characters, and I appreciate that. That's excellent. Makes it really easy to play off of you. Interaction with the NPCs was great. I know it wasn't quite as roleplay heavy as some of the previous sessions, but I kind of thought you could use a more actiony session. but um, but yeah, you're thinking, you're coming up with ideas that aren't just hit it with a stick. I do appreciate that. You're engaging in the world. I dig that as well. I'm going to go ahead and I will post XP to the group, to the Discord later on. But yeah, you all did really well, and I'm enjoying the game. Any questions that you had that maybe weren't resolved or answered completely?
no question.
Cool. It looks like we've had about up to 7 folks or so watching tonight. Really would like to hear from anybody who's still watching if they had any favorite moments in the game. See what the crowd has to say. I know we don't engage with the chat while we're playing because we're playing, but I'd love to hear if there's any particular favorite moments that the chat had. And if we don't get any answers soon, then we'll call it. But I'm kind of curious.
While we wait for the chat, I do want to mention another epic moment, and it was that last arrow shot by Orvar.
That was
epic.
The parting shot.
The parting shot, that was fun.
Yeah, the middle finger.
Well, that was great, as well as rather than just trying to slam all the crabs, let's actually use the materials that we have. That was well done.
Yeah.
And Eli, your comment about clearly not in the best of conditions, he's dead.
I have to say, I stumbled on the narration there. I'm like, but
he's not doing well. He's dead.
It's fun because like a lot of parties would just try to like throw oil on the crabs and burn them down or something like that, but I liked your solution of just trying to span them and get in there quick. I like that kind of thinking and creative work. So, and that's like I am with the experience system we're using. I mean, I'm not telling you to like fish for XP here, but that's the sort of thing that's going to gain you extra XP in the XP system we're working, because to balance out the lack of just gold pouring from every room that you would normally get in D&D, I'm using experience for accomplishing goals, creative ideas. You're still going to get XP for monsters. You're still going to get XP for gold, but you're also going to get the XP for any kind of magic items. They're super rare, but I had to balance out the lack of a steady flow that you would normally get from just typical dungeon crawling. Even if you end up dungeon crawling in this kind of a setting, they're not the wall-to-wall monster kind of dungeons. They're like a lot of empty dungeon space usually with some, very interesting encounter or a couple of encounters along the way. But yeah, the problem solving is one of the things that's going to get you XP, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. That said, looks like the chat is quiet, so I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Hopefully we'll see if we get any
One last comment.
Yeah.
Goes to Brian. Even though the idea of throwing the logs in front of the battering ram didn't work, it was good thinking.
I was pressed for time. I had to think of something quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was good prep for if Kaza wasn't able to pull the ship out. And I mean, behind the curtain, I was rolling to see if he could pull that off. And so there was a chance that it wouldn't work. I like having those things that left up to the dice. Your response to the crab mechanically was a reaction check. And your part of your class ability gives you a bonus to reaction checks with animals based on your charisma. So I have your character sheet and stuff, and I'll roll those in secret because you don't know.
Right. Makes it interesting.
Yeah, but I am using the reaction system that's built into the game instead of just deciding how things go, because I think that makes it fun for me as the DM, because then I don't even know necessarily. It's like, all right, because that crab could have been grumpy and decided that it didn't like you disturbing his nap, and he didn't care what you had to say. It's not like you can control him; you can just talk to him. It doesn't make him.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm very hungry. I'm going to eat you anyway.
That crab could have just been a dick. But all right, guys. Well, great game. Looking forward to playing again in a couple of weeks, and I will get those XP bonuses posted to the Discord tonight. So look for that. And
don't drop a Sergeant Mushroom.
What was that?
Don't drop. When we stop.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and close out the stream then. Thank you, everybody who came along tonight. And good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
And